Welcome to Living Out Loud with your host, Jess Phillips, where we talk all things addictions, codependency, relationships, and the good, bad, and ugly in between. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Living Out Loud with your host, Jess Phillips. Very excited to welcome back a very recent guest of mine, Joe Alvarez, expert in subconscious transformation and human potential, for a juicy special part 2 episode of Challenging Our Belief Systems. Welcome back, Joe.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
We just had to do it. We had to do it.
Glad to do it.
There was too much to talk about in a short amount of time. And I definitely don't want to start putting out 3-hour podcast episodes, although some people might enjoy it. But with my attention span, I like to stick half an hour, 45 minutes, max an hour. But you had to come back.
Yeah, I know. It's important. I mean, just to as a generalization nowadays, I mean, a lot of people's attention span is not that long, right?
Right?
So
Yeah.
let's let's pack some punch into this, give you value in a short amount of time. I hope that sounds good.
That's it. That's it. But not 30 or 90 seconds, right? You just
No, no, right. That's right.
the pressure of making everybody's like, Jess, you got to start making reels. Jess, you got to start making TikToks. I'm like, I don't know how to relay information. It gives me anxiety. I have anxiety right now just thinking about it. How am I supposed to relay information? And they're like, you got to find a hook. And I'm like, I don't do hooks.
Yeah,
I talk about things that I believe in that I think are going to be helpful for people. And the whole
yeah,
Instagram, TikTok world is it's a lot.
yeah.
It's a
And even
lot.
that's a belief.
Yeah. Just got so called out 3 minutes into this podcast. Tell me more about that belief. Tell me.
Well, beliefs obviously, we talked about last week, right? Belief, I made a definition there, like is a belief is just a thought that you think over and over again,
Yeah.
right? That gets habituated and it becomes a habit of the mind, right? So like, your relationships with money, with time, your health, your business, your marketing, are created by far and large by your beliefs.
Yeah.
And, a belief is a perceived truth, right?
Yeah.
Not the truth, but it is a perceived truth. And albeit, we experience it as our truth or truth.
Mm,
But a truth, in order for a truth to be true, it's a universal. So I talked about on the last episode, is the sun going to come up wherever you're listening from? You could be listening from Hong Kong, Montreal, Saskatchewan, Florida, but wherever you are, is the sun going to come up,
mm.
right? It's a universal truth. Even if it's cloudy, does the sun come up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the sky blue? Well, if you wanted to just like entertain stretching that a little bit, I mean, is it?
Yeah.
How do we know? I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to get silly here, but right, like, I mean, at nighttime, is the sky blue?
Right.
When the sun sets, is the sky blue? All right. I don't want to get too ridiculous and spin our heads on this, but to question that, like, somebody at some point in some time had to decide that that's blue. Is it truth?
Yeah. Right.
Why am I bringing that silliness up? Or why am I spinning some of your heads right now? Is because like it's an invitation to challenge everything you think.
Mm. It's true. I'm thinking about what I just said to you, right? About the Instagram or about the TikTok. But I think what's so interesting too with our belief systems, or I'll speak for myself with my belief system, is that I can so easily justify that, oh, that's not a belief, that's just a fact. I can't do that. But if I really
Right.
stop, like as you were talking, if I really stop and pause and see what's under there,
Hmm.
all I see or feel is fear.
Yeah.
right? I can't do
Yeah,
that because A, B, and C will look silly or whatever it is, but it's true. If I believe that, oh yeah, this would be an effortless way to make some more content and get short, cool video clips out there, then I would just go for it. And I think it's actually incredible how many of my beliefs or the beliefs that I work with clients can hold us back from doing really cool things.
100%,
Mm,
100% can. I mean, your belief, your story is your life, right? I think I mentioned this on the last episode, but I mean, everything, everything you have or don't have in your life, what be it in business, in relationships, in health, is because you've spoken it into existence right now,
yeah.
right? Like, and through your stories and your beliefs now, and those stories and beliefs are very, for the most part, very unconscious, right? It's like, um, you don't really consciously walk around saying, I couldn't do a curiosity hook,
Mm,
right? TikTok on a 33-second reel or a 5-second reel.
mm,
You don't typically walk around saying that. You don't wake up in the morning saying, I'm not able to do that, right? But it's like if you get faced with the idea or the proposition to do it, then the belief comes up. And
yeah.
then and what you said, right? It was you said what I talked about last week. Beliefs, what you said is, um, I can't, or doing reels, or the idea of doing reels, if I do reels, then I get anxiety. You said something to that
Mm,
effect, right?
mhm, mhm.
And so there's a cause and effect statement. There's a causality statement. If this, then this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one structure of belief, a common structure of belief. The other common structure of belief is equivalence.
Mm,
This means this,
mm,
right?
yeah.
I I just like to talk about the things I believe in means I can't do 5-second reels,
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah.
And those are you. And so what we did last in our last episode, right? I invited all of you to, to go and discover your beliefs. And typically they usually boil down to those types of linguistic structures. If I do this, if I think of doing a reel, then I'll get anxiety,
Hmm.
right? And then if I get anxiety, that means, I don't know, I'm not good at it, or whatever that means, right?
It's darker than that.
Well,
It's way
fair
darker
enough.
than I will die, Joe. I will die.
If I do reels, I will die. Then Sully will be motherless. That means I'm a bad
Right?
mom.
Right? Let's not lie here on the podcast. It's a lot darker and deeper than that. Can you and it makes so much sense when you talk about it in that way, but it's just so interesting then when we're alone with our thoughts,
Mm,
it's not that clear. So you
mm.
just said earlier, we often kind of speak these beliefs into existence. Can you tell the listeners what that means exactly?
Yeah, like so for example, when I started my coaching business, right? I started to tell the story to myself that I wanted to help people.
Mm,
I started to tell the story to myself and operate from the belief that there must be a tool out there that will allow me to help people. I started to have the stories and cultivate and condition the beliefs that I could create a good living for myself and help people,
mm,
right? I could actually make good money and have impact
mm,
on, right? Because I was also challenged with beliefs like, well, if you make money, that means you be doing something wrong, right? I mean, a lot of us have money stories, have money beliefs,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so, I spoke it into existence. Well, before that, when I was in the corporate career, like when I got out of rehab, right? Rehab told me that I needed to get a job. I said, oh, okay, so I need to get a job. I need to go look at what jobs are available. I need to pick out a job interview to go to. I can do this job. I
Mm,
got hired. Okay, so I need to learn how to do this. and then I was working for a big corporate organization, and I was like, okay, well, what else could I do in this company? Could I advance? How do I find out how to advance? I like to advance. I
Mm.
like the accolades of advancing.
Yeah.
Right? But you speak it into existence,
Yeah.
right? When I was in the throes of my addiction and leading a pretty dark life, right? My stories were different.
Hmm.
What's the point? Right?
Yeah.
This is the only way I feel good. I can't tell anybody about this because if I tell them about this, then they'll think this of me,
Right.
right? And that means I'm a piece of shit.
Right. Right.
Different stories. I was just speaking it into existence, right?
Yeah. Different
Uh,
stories, but total snowball effect on
yeah.
positive or negative.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's about where you focus, right? It's
Mhm.
your focus, which your one's ability to focus, um, obviously is filtered through different filters of memories, of experiences, of values, of their beliefs, their
Mhm.
stories. But like, for example, let's play a game, Jess. You want to play a game?
Love games.
Okay. All
Love
right.
games.
All right. I'm gonna give you 3 seconds.
Oh, yeah. I told you I was anxious about this already.
that,
Oh my God.
that was quite intense. Okay, I'll give you five.
Okay. Okay. Oh my God, my palms are sweating. Okay. I'm ready.
I want to give you 5 seconds, and I want you to find everything that is green in your home. Ready? Go.
Ready.
One, two,
The plant behind me,
three,
the plant in front of
four,
me, the
five.
plant to the right of me.
Okay, close your eyes.
Okay.
Close your eyes. Okay. Now, did you notice all the things that are blue?
Oh, what? No. You
All
said
right, open your
green.
eyes.
Yeah.
Eyes.
Mm,
You noticed what you focused on.
just the green.
That's right.
Yeah.
And maybe there was even like a shade of green. Maybe it was turquoise, but you even said, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's green. I'll consider that green."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And
it's true.
that's how our beliefs operate.
Mm,
Right? If you believe that there are no good men out there, or no good women out there, or no good relationship out there, or they're all taken, or I don't, I can't do relationships, or whatever the belief is,
hmm.
you'll be right.
Hmm.
You'll
Yeah.
be right.
I'm going to pause you on that one for a second. Can you just repeat what you said about that belief about men or women?
Right. So if you believe that there are no good men or women out there, or they're all taken, you'll be right.
Mm. I just wanted you to say that low and slow because I know for a fact how many friends, clients, people I've worked with in the past are listening to this right
Mm,
now,
mm,
myself included in the past, that is one of the number one beliefs that I hear in session time and time and time again. And oftentimes I think, especially with people who are maybe getting close to a divorce. So say for example, they've been in a relationship for 15, 20 years and they just know now they've tried everything. It's not working. They've both changed as people as the years went by
yeah.
and they know they're going to have to restart. And I'm sitting across someone who I've shared this with you before and I share this with all of my clients. I feel like I'm sitting across from superstars. I am sitting across from superstars. They
Yes.
were smart, they're funny, they're attractive, they're good people, they're kind-hearted, they're great parents. And I often
Mm.
think to myself, imagine I took all of them and put them all in a room and I'm like, go meet each other because I think about it. I don't know if that's a weird thought, but I really think about it because each person is convinced that they're
Yep.
never going to meet
Yep.
another person that they have one shot at this thing called love or marriage or raising children and they've
Yep.
blown it and they're going to die alone.
Yep. Yep.
Probably one of the number one beliefs that I hear.
Yeah. And it's a perceived truth. So it's not necessarily the truth, but they're experiencing it as truth.
W-
And they really believe it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Where do you think, because oh, that's where my mind goes and my kind of framework of coaching and therapy goes is to why. Like I always want to know what is the
Yeah.
reason behind the reason. So I'm interested too in why would you think what would cause that type of belief? Are we looking at low self-esteem? Are we looking at an attachment wound? What is your idea of where that belief comes from?
Well, I mean, structurally, it will. Hmm. Here's the thing with the question why is that if we find why, we'll find the reason. But then where do we go from there?
Mm,
Right?
okay,
So,
let's use an example for that one. So, I have this belief that I'm never going to find anybody again because I've blown my first shot because one of my primary caregivers told me that I'm unlovable. Let's use that
okay.
reason.
Okay. Yeah. So what's causing the belief is one of your caregivers told you that you're unlovable.
Mhm. That's my
Is it
reason.
true?
No,
Or is it a belief?
it's now a belief.
Is it a truism? Is it a universal truth like the sun's going to come out?
Hmm. No,
Or is it a belief?
it's a belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so in a moment, what I'm going to do for those of you listening is I'm going to run you through a series of questions that I utilize with myself and my clients to help you start poking holes in these beliefs, start challenging and start tearing, breaking them apart essentially, so that you, for what purpose? Well, so that you can operate from new beliefs.
Mm,
Because remember, a belief is just a thought that we think over and over again. It's habituated in the mind. A belief is a perceived truth,
mm,
not the truth, but you experience it as the truth,
mhm.
right? And so the question of why does somebody believe what they believe? Well, it's going to give us an answer. We're going to get an answer, right? Like what caused you to believe this, right? Is it gives us the answer, which is a good starting point. And well, you know what? What I'll do is why don't we just take this and why don't we run with this through a 9-step belief buster?
Oh my God, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm
All
getting
right. All right.
excited.
All right.
I feel like I'm getting
Okay.
my own therapy session here.
And for those of you listening, take some notes. I mean, unless you're operating machinery or driving a vehicle, please do not. Just drive safe.
Yeah.
You can re-listen to this later on. Okay.
Okay.
The first question is what is the belief? So go ahead and restate the belief.
Okay. So the belief is that I am unlovable
Okay. And that means,
because I'm unlovable. And let's
yeah,
go back to the original example. Because I'm unlovable,
yeah,
I have now lost my shot at love or a marriage or a long-term relationship. And
yeah,
because it's ending
yeah,
and that I'm unlovable, I will
yeah.
not be able to be loved by anybody again.
Right. So there's the causality statement. Right? Because I'm unlovable, then I'll never be able to, what did you say? Be
Be
loved,
loved again.
be loved again.
Yeah.
There's the causality statement. Okay.
Mhm.
And so what caused this belief? What causes you to believe this?
So when I was younger, I was told that I was unlovable.
Okay. Okay.
This is all
So
this is all hypothetical, by the way, if my
yes, of
if
course.
my parents are listening.
Yeah, yeah. And it's good. We're just using whatever, an hypothetical example so that people can learn from it. So the first question is what is the belief? Right? And then see if you can um, if you can break it down into either a causality statement, again, a causality statement is if this, then this.
Mhm.
So in this case, is if I'm unlovable, then no one will ever love me. Yeah.
Mhm.
Or then I lost my shot for ever experiencing love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, or it could be like and if that, then I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. And that means, I don't know, I suck at life. I'm just making an example.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's causality. Complex equivalence. So an equivalence statement is A equals B, or this means this,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Because I'm unlovable means I've lost my shot at love in life.
Right.
And that means I'm broken,
Yeah.
for an example. Okay. So,
Yes.
what is the belief? That's number one. Number two is what causes you to believe this. And you said, because when I was younger, I was told by a parental figure or a caretaker that I was unlovable. Good. Okay. So this is what caused the belief, right? Um, Number three, now this is going to stretch you, right? This is going to this might challenge some of you, but number three is what's the benefit of holding on to this belief?
Mm. Love this one.
Right? So what are we talking about? We're talking about some sort of secondary gain,
Mhm.
right? That there may be a benefit. What is the benefit you get from holding on to this belief?
Mm.
And I urge you, each and every one of you listening who are going through this exercise, I urge you not to say, I don't know. That would be a lazy answer.
I was gonna say, tell him what you always told me, Joe, when I said that. Just say it. Go ahead and say it. That's a lazy answer.
That's the Tinder profile with no bio.
Yeah. 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 Cue in special number three, dating.
Right. So I urge you. So like, yeah. So what would be the benefit? And if you don't know, like, what if you did know, right? I want you to just operate from a different type of thinking, because here's the question. Wouldn't it, isn't it worth discovering what the benefit would be for the purposes of you letting go of this belief once and for all, so that you can,
Mhm.
cue in, live your
Mhm.
best life,
Mhm.
find the loving relationship you desire, feel good about yourself. I mean, isn't it worth that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the benefit that one would get from holding on to a belief like I'm unlovable, and what would be the benefit?
I don't even think it's laziness that comes down half the time when I've asked people, like, what is the secondary gain here? They're actually
Hmm.
deeply confused because it
Mhm. Of
feels so negative and it sounds so negative. They think, like,
course.
why would I possibly be holding on to the fact that I'm unlovable? But
Yeah.
all I can think of is I remember, and we were talking about this in the previous episode, is, why before starting to blog or post, why wasn't I doing it if I said that
Yeah.
I wanted to do it, right? And the
Mhm.
reasons were stay safe, avoid criticism, avoid exposure, vulnerability,
Mhm.
stay comfortable, right? We all like to
There you
stay very comfortable. So there's actually a lot under that question. But for the sake of this example that we're giving, why would remaining unlovable serve me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what, yeah, what's the benefit of remaining unlovable?
Yeah.
Right? What would be
Yeah.
the benefit? And it could be preservation to stay safe, right?
Mm,
It could be so that I don't put myself out there for people to discover that I'm unlovable, and then they reject me, and then I feel bad about it. So I just stay unlovable and not get involved in the first place.
1000%.
Right?
Yeah.
And so take some time with that. If you're doing this exercise, take some time with that and just allow whatever comes up come up. I know it sounds like a real silly question because one would say, what would the benefit be? But it's like, well, if it's a pattern, there might be a benefit to it. It just may be the strategy that you're employing is a broken strategy to go on, to getting the benefit from it. If the benefit is staying safe, could there be a belief that I could be vulnerable and safe in a relationship?
Oof. Oof. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the challenge that I threw out at the beginning of the call. Like, is the sky blue? Like, I was just using that silly example that we could go down a rabbit hole with, but again, it's an invitation to challenge what you think.
Yeah.
For the purposes of what? For the purposes of breaking free from limitations.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
this step too, we could replace unlovable with a million things, right? We
Million.
could, you know, addiction, drug addiction, uh, binge eating, food addiction, sex addiction, gambling, wanting to further your career and not making your LinkedIn profile. You name it. I think every single example of what a client would bring to me is fitting for this question. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Because you start looking at it differently, right? And when you start looking at the problem differently, you start to get different possibilities,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so number four, when you've written that down, the question is, what does this cost? What does it cost you to hold on to this belief?
Oh,
What's what's the price of
oh,
staying small? What's the price of
felt that
living?
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that
And
one.
you think ecologically, what does it cost to you, not in just in relationships? What does it cost in terms of your business? What's the price tag that it has in your career, in your physical health?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go out a little farther, and then what's that cost going to be like a year from now,
Yeah.
5 years from
Yes.
now,
Yeah.
right?
Which is so tough because we're so, especially if we're in fear or we're in survival mode, we're
Mm,
so day at a time. It's like the
mm.
blinders are on, and I'm so, say somebody's locked in obsession over a relationship. I'm not thinking at that time, what is this going to cost me if I continue to chase an unavailable person for the next 5 years?
Yeah, for
What's that going to,
sure. And I think there's probably value in stating that if you're in a dysregulated state, is to perhaps regulate yourself, your emotion first, right? Before going into this exercise.
yeah,
And there's lots of ways to regulate your emotion. Just do a little Google search and could
yeah,
be breathing, could be, lots of different ways.
yeah,
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 you're absolutely right though, Jess. Like if you're in a dysregulated state in a fight or flight, I mean it's you're thinking survival is what you're thinking,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But as soon as you get out of that state, you know, I invite you to answer these questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what will it cost you to hold on to the belief that I'm unlovable, right? So and we're just using that as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Number five, this is when we start flipping the script a little bit. We want to start challenging the belief by asking, is this belief true for everyone? Is there an exception, right?
Mm,
Has there been a time in your life where this was not true? I'm saying a time.
mm,
I don't care if it's like grade 4 oral presentation and your teacher just loved on you because you did a great job and you're like, wow. And I felt that love from the teacher and that was great. I don't care.
yeah.
Could be that. It could be the time that, your friend or your cousin or whatever it is, like saw that you were lovable and you actually felt it, even if it was fleeting, if you felt it. But we are looking for an exception because for something to be true, it must be true 100% of the time.
Mm,
But as soon as you start to poke holes in it and challenge it, it starts to lose its grip, right?
It's interesting. My whole everything just changed how I felt inside, right? From the
There you go.
first four questions
There you
to
go.
that complete shift, all of
Yeah.
my memories just started to surface on like when like exactly when I nailed that presentation or when I truly felt loved by someone or when I was able to really love someone else or Sully.
Mhm.
Sully is
There you go.
just a
Yeah.
ball of love. Sally's never once thought I was unlovable.
Right. And the way that Sully demonstrates that and how you feel it from
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
right? Like, yeah, it's what, but that's what we need to do with these beliefs that are limiting. Because you and I determined earlier on in the call, what you focus on and what you believe on, you'll be right.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, if what you believe is not serving you, if it's not supporting you in going the direction that you want to go in your life, and if it's limiting you, then we want to absolutely challenge it, right?
I have I want to take just a quick pause. The thought that just surfaced was what are your thoughts? I'm not going to stay on this topic for a long time, but what are your thoughts on someone who has a lot of those negative beliefs and then starts to date? They start to online date, but they have
Yeah.
these thoughts that they're unlovable, that they're never going to meet anybody suitable. Do you suggest to take a pause from the dating and examine that a little bit more, or can they do both at the same time?
Yeah, yes and yes. Right? Yes and yes, because I work from a belief of possibility, right? So is it possible that you be in a relationship and work through your shit? Yes. Yeah. Is it a good idea to work on your shit before you get into a relationship? Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it would be good though. Like, so I think if you go into a dating world, I think I would, now I'm going to presuppose that if you're going into the dating world, it's for the purposes of like, well, you want a relationship of some sort, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever it is that you want, you ask yourself, well, what are your beliefs around that, right?
Yeah.
If it makes you upset, if for the prospect of it makes you anxious or makes you afraid or makes you feel not good enough, you might want to look at these beliefs and go through this belief busting script. Yeah. Good question.
Thanks.
Yeah. Because by nature by virtue of doing something or working towards something, whether it be looking for an ideal relationship or love, looking to make a certain amount of money, create a business, get in better shape, by virtue of making that decision, it will bring up that which is unconscious, i.e., beliefs and stories that you have, and it
Mm-hmm.
will come through feeling uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something I see often is, friends or clients or people starting to date, but it's interesting that when they're talking to me about it, I can feel the energy. The energy
Mm,
is so blocked still, and those
yeah.
negative beliefs are still there that it's actually causing friction when they're dating or when they're swiping or when and I hear things like, "Oh, I knew that was going to happen," or "I knew they were going to cancel," or "I knew
Yeah.
it's never going to work." And
Yeah.
it's interesting how clear you can see it with other people, but sometimes you don't see it yourself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's always easier to see in other people than going within, right? But
Yeah.
that's a practice, right?
Yeah.
It's a practice, and I'm giving you guys a practical way of looking at your limiting beliefs,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Um, for the purposes of you getting free of that,
Yeah.
right? So if you've challenged the belief in number five, then number six is if you're ready to let go of this belief, then what is the new belief, right? If what you discovered is not true, then what are you choosing to be true for you?
Hmm.
What is the new story you could begin to tell,
Hmm.
right?
Well, in our
It could be,
example, yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
in our example would be, and my first thought was, does it have to be the complete opposite, because I think sometimes that can be difficult for people to go from a state of feeling unlovable to I'm lovable, I'm a superstar.
Yeah,
So maybe I'm worthy of love. I'm
Yeah.
working through some issues, but I know deep down I'm worthy of love.
Yeah. Deep down, I'm worthy of love. I'm learning how to be lovable,
I like that one.
learning
Yeah.
how to be lovable. Um, yeah, it could, I mean, as long as the beliefs and the stories support you in bringing you towards what you want,
Hmm.
rather than focusing on what you don't want, right?
Yeah.
So number six, like if you're ready to let go of this belief, then what's the new belief you want to operate from? Again, if what you discovered in the limiting belief is not true, then what is true for you? What are you choosing to, what are the new stories and beliefs that you're going to choose to operate from? Number seven, if you continue to hold and operate from the new belief, the new truth, the new perspective, what will happen? How would it benefit you in your relationship, in your love life, in your business life, in your money life,
Mm.
right? Look at the possibility of what's possible. Number eight, what are you going to choose? So this is about drawing the line in the sand.
Mm.
Yeah. You're going to choose this. And yes, you're going to choose to tell yourself this story, this belief. Remember, a belief is a belief, but you have beliefs that support you and beliefs that bring you down and don't support you. Whatever you focus your attention on, whatever you continue to operate from in your internal dialogue and how you speak to other people, you'll be right.
Hmm.
So this is a moment for you to decide, to choose, to draw a line in the sand and say, you know what? From now on, I'm operating from this new story, this new belief. I'm working on being lovable.
Hmm.
Deep down, I know I am lovable.
Hmm.
And this will have an impact subconsciously, right? Which is a whole other discussion, right? And then the last question is number nine. If you've chosen this new belief, then what is one action that you can take right now that would align with this new belief, right? Because talk is cheap and you want to put your money where your mouth is and take action. Why? Because when you take action now with the new belief or an action, it doesn't have to be a grandiose action. It could just be a small action,
Hmm.
but that is in line with the new belief. It begins to cement it and concretize it in your mind.
Mm.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example? And I know we're running out of time here, so I'm really happy we got through all nine. But can you give us a very quick example of what an action I could take using the example of I am unlovable? So now I've flipped the script. I am learning how to be lovable. What
Yep.
would an action look like for me?
So then what would it look for you? So essentially, I would ask the client, right? What is one action that you can take would demonstrate that you are lovable?
Yeah, see what I did there?
Tell me
See?
what I need to do.
I like that one.
Right. So yeah. So then and I know we're using a hypothetical question, but they could say something to the effect of, I don't know, like, they are, they're going to start moving their body every day because they are lovable and they deserve love, and or they can, start, um I like to have a little journal which is called a brag book.
I
Um
forgot about the brag book.
yeah. And just going over your week and all the things that you've done well and all the things that you knocked out of the park, and um celebrating your wins. There's nothing selfish about bragging about to
Mm,
yourself about the things that you're doing well,
mm,
right? And so I like to have a little brag book of all the celebrations that I do in my day, like the clients that had aha moments that I worked with, the time I spent with my son, the dinner I cooked, whatever it is, right? Like taking my family out, like just, you know, celebrate yourself.
You were really feeling that for a second. I felt
Oh
it.
yeah.
I
Well,
felt it through the screen.
because typically people don't do that.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true. I think too, we're very, especially with a ton of negative beliefs, we're hardwired to,
Right.
we're waiting for the shoe to drop. So I'm like,
Yep.
oh God, I did this one tiny thing wrong. That means
Yep.
everything is gonna, fall apart. But instead
That's
of saying,
right.
hey Jess, whoa, 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 it's 24 hours in
Yeah.
the day. Let's focus on what went well. And the first thing that actually popped into my mind before I asked you to give me the answer was in terms of wanting to love myself, right? Or focusing on an action, a loving action would really be, especially because a large part of my work is focused on relationships, is really learning how to say no or say goodbye to the things that are not serving you or that are not aligned with where you want to go, because there's so many people, myself included, that were holding on to unavailable relationships or toxic relationships just in fear of how they were going to feel, or focus that this is the one and they can't let them go, but somewhere somehow deep down inside knowing there's somebody out there. There's something more aligned for us out there. So
Yeah.
I would say one loving action is really closing some doors is a very loving action.
Yeah. And then you operate from the belief, right? So the belief of like saying no allows me to say yes to the things that are important to me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not something that I can prove to you as a truism, but it's a belief.
Mhm.
So you pay attention to your beliefs, and if you want to go through this exercise with other different beliefs that you have, that are limiting, I would invite you to do it, right? You
Yeah.
just start chiseling away. You start
Yeah.
chiseling away at stuff that is not serving you, beliefs and ideas and stories that are not serving you anymore, right? So that you can, create expansion, so you can create growth, so you can create what it is that you do want. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was incredible. That was really incredible. And I know for the sake of time, normally I would ask you to repeat steps 1 through 9, but maybe what we can do is include some of the steps in the show notes. So if
Sure.
anybody wants to refer to them later, and try to go through that exercise with different beliefs, they can do that.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so
Amazing.
much.
You're welcome.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I always get so, it's just, you're Joe, the way you've just, I remember meeting you from day one, 17 plus years ago, and you've always inspired me with your sense of possibility, with your positive outlook on life. And I'm not sure what creates, you know, such different temperaments in people, but I was raised in an environment that was quite anxious and waiting for the next shoe to drop. And that's followed me in my life. So I've often been one, especially in the past, to really worry about what could go wrong. And every time I speak with you or hang out with you, you shift my perception into what can really go right. And I truly, truly appreciate that. It's very refreshing. So thank you.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
It's an honor for me as well, Jess.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Very cool. Okay. 7 more episodes to come. I'll be contacting you. You're the best. Listeners love it. I love it. I wish you a great day, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Bye. Thanks, everyone, for listening and supporting Living Out Loud. Be sure to tune in next week for another fun, juicy episode.